welcome back to Freedom Hawk Live. It's another beautiful Saturday, May the 4th. So may the 4th be with you. And it's today it's just me, Dean, and Anna with you today. You want to say hello?
Hi guys.
All right.
Good to be here.
It's been a crazy week.
A little bit.
A lot of civil unrest.
I can't keep up.
Yeah. So I'm going to start off with a short story. And this is going to be relevant to some of the things that are going on this week that we're going to spend probably most of the show today talking about. But, we are close to the Central Florida area from here. And if you go back about 23 years ago to post 9/11, there was a connection between Florida and the 9/11 hijacking. And a lot of people know about the terrorists and the hijackers training at flight schools in Florida. But the story that not a lot of people are familiar with outside of the area is the story of a local college professor who was linked to the plot to hijack the airplanes. All right. And this is going to become relevant to our discussion today because that professor goes by the name Sami Al-Arian, was publicized at the time, but I think that story got lost in the shuffle of the war on terror, the war in Iraq, and everything that followed from 9/11 and the hunt for bin Laden. But to those of us in Central Florida that were here at the time, the name Sami Al-Arian, even if you don't remember who that is, it's a name that sounds familiar to most people who are from the Florida area. So looking at this week, we've had what seems to be a repeat of the Summer of Love from 2020. And we have all of this civil unrest at the college campuses. And for some reason, why is it, Annie, that every time this happens, it's an election year?
Again, Alinsky's rules for radicals.
Okay.
It's all about creating the chaos to distract people from what's really going on. And what's really going on is that they're trying to fix the vote for 2024. And they're trying to figure out a way. And so they're just distracting the country and dividing as much as possible so that they can maybe declare martial law and either suspend elections or do the mail-in voting.
So how is it this only seems to happen every 4 years?
Because the Democrats are always trying to cheat every 4 years.
Yeah. So the first I heard of the college protests, the I guess anti-Israel protests. I'm not sure what I want to call them.
Look at the protests in the 60s. It's the hippies. It's the whole thing all over again. It's the same playbook.
It's always out of the same playbook. Exactly. And that's what we want to talk to today. This is the liberal playbook. This is the same thing that they've done for the last 70 years.
Exactly.
Ever since the 60s.
Yes.
And I don't know if I want to call this I guess the anti-Israel protests or,
it's
civil unrest 24.
It's Ukraine. It's Palestine. It's.
So you have all these college students out there shouting free Palestine. Most of them are liberals, probably all of them.
It's the cause of the moment.
And many of them don't even know why they're there.
I know. Did you see that one where she said she needed more education? She needed to be educated more.
I think she needs less education.
She didn't even know why she was there. She's just there because she was told to be there, and she just.
So who is she told by? Who told these students to be there? So here's the connection. Okay, we have all these anti-Israel, pro-terrorist Hamas protests on all these college campuses. And one of the things that stood out to me was the name Sami Al-Arian. So supposedly, according to the New York Post, where I first saw the article, Sami Al-Arian's wife was at Columbia University, which has been the center of these protests.
Interesting connection.
There's another connection.
Of course.
Guess who was an alumni of Columbia University?
Sami Al-Arian.
Barack Obama.
Oh, that's right.
Remember?
That's right.
Yeah. He has deep ties to Columbia University.
That's right.
So is it a coincidence that Columbia...
Isn't that when he was supposed to have been one of those students, an international student, a foreign student?
Well, he was a foreign student, but I mean,
right.
If you're a birther, yeah, he was a foreign student. But
I am.
He went to law school there.
Right.
And then I think he may have been a professor or taught it there or something.
Constitutional law, I believe.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah.
So you have Columbia University is at the center of all this anti-Israel, pro-Hamas, free Palestine controversy. Sami Al-Arian's wife shows up there, and former President Barack Obama, who was the first president to come out and support Hamas and support the two-state solution and support Palestine, just happens to be one of their most famous alum of our generation.
Just happens to be.
Should we continue?
There's definitely a connection, and they're all being paid. Those encampments, they're all. Was it you that I was talking to? They're all the same. They're all from the same manufacturer.
All the tents,
and all the signs and everything. They're being paid money, and I was reading that most of the protesters aren't even students.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that happened is about 2,000 people was the number I saw yesterday morning. And that number continues to climb, of course. But about 2,000 people have been arrested across the country in these college protests. Most notably UCLA. UCLA had a riot that went on for about 4 hours before the police broke it up. I don't know what took so long, but maybe they were just waiting for it to calm down on its own. I don't know. Columbia University, the students went in, took over the library building, created their own little fort. But universities across the country, UT in Texas, USF in Florida, all up and down the West Coast, California, Oregon, Washington State. It's all over the country right now, Michigan. And this is a concerted effort. And when you talk about these tents, we've talked about this before with the George Floyd riots 4 years ago. Material just shows up at these protest sites
magically.
Yeah, magically. I mean, we have pallets of bricks showing up on sidewalks, box trucks full of signs, like pre-made signs showing up, being handed out to protesters, and that's really where I get to the protesters don't know what they're even protesting. Like these kids just show up to cause trouble.
They're told to show up. They're going to get money and just do this. Hold up this sign.
I don't even know if they get money. I think these kids just see an opportunity to go crazy and get their energy out. Like they just want to be mad and they want to be. They want to fight the authority.
Here's the better part. Of this is where college students are now fighting back.
Well, some of them are, and the right does have some good counter protesting, but unfortunately we have to be careful because when conservatives counter protest, as soon as you take a swing, as soon as you fight back, and I mean physically fight back,
of course,
they will push and shove and violently harass the conservatives on the campuses, and there's all these videos of
fine. They won't get arrested.
Well, there's a lot of videos of Israeli, Jewish students on these campuses being violently harassed, pushed, shoved, their access to their college courses being blocked. And as soon as they push back, as soon as they fight back, as soon as they defend themselves, they get in trouble. But at UNC, University of North Carolina, one of the fraternities showed up.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
And what happened?
Well, they they got the flag. They took the Palestinian flag down. They put the American flag. They kept it from touching the
Yeah,
the ground.
and then these students protected the flag, the American flag, with the protesters
Spitting
throwing
on
things
them
at
and
them, spitting out.
exactly.
Yes,
And they protected the flag.
and we're supposed to be sympathetic to this cause.
There's no reason to spit on somebody
No,
because they
there's not.
have a different point of view than you do.
It's just the double standard has always been an issue with these sort of things. Conservatives, to their credit, try really hard to be peaceful about protests, but you go back to like I hate talking about the January 6th thing, first of all, because it's gotten way more attention than it deserves. But when you look at what happened, you don't see conservatives throwing things, spitting on people, hitting people violently.
Conservatives don't act like that. They don't behave like
They're
that.
walking peacefully around an empty building.
Most of them are God-fearing people. Most of them
Most of
love
them.
God.
Yeah.
Most of them. And they are decent people for the most part.
Yes.
For the most part.
And there have been instances.
I mean, I'm not going to.
There have been exceptions, but what it really comes down to is conservatives know there's a double standard. We know we have to protest peacefully, and all the way back to Martin Luther King, who was a conservative.
Yes, I know.
Okay, the left doesn't like to talk about that, but Martin Luther King, it was no different during civil rights than it is now. It was no different. And they had to protest peacefully to be taken seriously. When these college students and when these liberals get violent and vandalize property, loot, riot, and everything else in Portland, Oregon, did you see where they burnt 15 cop cars?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Now, what was I hearing about Portland, Oregon?
That doesn't happen by accident.
Wait. What was it? What was it that the governor or the president of the university? Something happened over there. Besides that,
there's so much going on that I can't keep up with every single incident. But I do know that there were 15 cop cars that were reported burned by the protesters in Portland.
They're crazy over there. I mean, they're far left crazy over there.
Well, and let's think about that for a second.
That's even worse.
They're crazy.
California. They are.
Why do we say they're crazy?
They're ideologists.
Well, not just that, but
they have their ideology, and it's violent. It's a violent ideology.
When they cause destruction and mayhem,
they're more like anarchists.
It does not lend credibility to their cause.
Exactly, but they're more like anarchists,
and they come across as crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And it delegitimizes everything they claim they stand for.
Right.
That's why you call them crazy.
Yes.
And I want to clarify
because they act.
And I'm clarifying for the people watching, right?
They behave irrationally.
Yeah.
Destroying stuff, just going crazy.
You don't win people to the cause by violence and intimidation and threats, and you certainly don't do it when you're insulting the people that you want to win over.
Right.
The left with these protests is not. There's no goal or. There's no goal. They're not trying to achieve anything.
There's no right. They're just trying to destroy.
There's no purpose to what.
There's a lot of anger, and
Yeah.
they're just letting it out, and that's why that summer of love. Just let them do what they do. Let them get it out. Give me a break. You don't behave like that. That's not a normal, rational person.
Well, there's no purpose to what they're doing. They don't have a goal in mind. They just want everybody to know they're mad about what's going on in Israel and Gaza right now. And exactly, they're not offering solutions. They don't have an end game of what they're trying to accomplish. All they're doing is inciting violence and fear. And we just had, 4 years We had 4 years of a former president being indicted for telling people to be peaceful and let their voice be heard. And now we have a revisit of 2020 when our cities were burning, our people are being violently attacked, and with no solution being offered.
That was also 2016.
Well,
Remember that?
yes,
When he got inaugurated,
absolutely.
all that Antifa, and it was Antifa,
Mhm.
and when they were throwing bricks through glass and all over DC.
And a few years before that, it was Mike Brown, hands up,
Michael
don't
Brown,
shoot.
that's right, Michael Brown.
You see the pattern here. Every 4 years, the left riots and raises hell and cries like a bunch of children
Whiny babies.
until they hoping they'll get what they want. And the irony is that they're not even communicating that they want anything out of it other than their way, whatever that means.
Right. Just not this way.
Well,
because they can't, it's not their idea.
Well, I don't know if this is what they want, but the U.S. government might be about to give them something that might appease them. You know what I'm?
Yeah, I know what you're gonna say.
Oh, this one's.
I just heard about it.
This one's bad.
Oh, I know.
So, the U.S. Navy has the ability to go in and build a temporary port, marina on the beach. Okay, they have ships that have floating barges and docks that they can go out and they can assemble these and create a temporary port on any given beach. Okay, and
how do you know all this?
Because I watch I have a lot of time. Okay,
yeah,
I have more time than I want to admit. No, so the U.S. Navy they've pared down to 2 ships that have the capability of doing this, and they are both going to Israel, already there, building a temporary port. And we've heard Joe Biden recently talk about getting humanitarian aid into Gaza.
Yeah.
And
did you hear Hamas stole the latest?
We're not there yet.
Okay.
We're not there yet.
Okay.
The foreign aid bill, if you can call it that, or the Rob America's Future bill, as I would prefer to refer to it, had money for Ukraine, money for Israel, and money for Taiwan. What people don't know is that the money for Israel was really money for Gaza. There's $3.5 billion in that aid package for humanitarian aid in Gaza. Now, some people have commented that the U.S. military is going to intervene and invade the Gaza Strip. But what has come out the last few days, and I've actually been talking about this for about a week now, the port that they're building may be used to relocate Palestinians. And there's $3.5 billion in the aid bill that Congress just passed to relocate refugees from Gaza. And what are they going to do with them? Well, they've got this temporary port. They're going to bring the ships in. They're going to give them a choice. They can either move to the quarantine concentration camp outside Rafah, which has been set up and would be under Israeli control, or they can board the ships and the Americans will take them away and they can come live in America with a path to citizenship. And furthermore, the White House has admitted that this is the plan. And they have admitted that they want to use loopholes in our in our immigration policy to allow Palestinians who have family members that are citizens or permanent residents to come to the United States and be relocated. Do you think that they are going to check the backgrounds of every single one of those people? Is that too much for you? Did I throw too much at you, Annie?
Oh my God.
They have 1,000 U.S.
So much trouble.
We have 1,000 U.S. military servicemen that are going to be there to for logistics for the port, to hand out their humanitarian aid. They'll show up with food and stuff to
How
get,
many
and they're
people are
going
we
to
talking about?
but they're going to process how many can they load on a boat?
I don't know.
How many can they load on a boat, Annie? A lot more than an airplane. And I can tell you, they are flying them on airplanes already
I know that.
from Germany and from Poland.
I know that.
So they're gonna ramp up
Just found
the
that out.
capacity. Yeah.
We just found that out.
Uh-huh. And well,
Okay.
they haven't denied any of this.
Why haven't U.S. Marshals come in and arrested the entire administration?
I don't know the answer to that. But
There's no. I mean, there is plenty of evidence
well, you know,
of their treasonous acts. So why have they not been arrested yet?
that's a good question.
feel like-
They refused to impeach
I
Mayorkas.
feel like filing a lawsuit against the federal government and against Joe Biden personally.
Well, you saw what happened with the Mayorkas impeachment. The Senate threw it out.
Oh, I know.
So,
I
I mean, for the first time in our U.S. history, we had an impeachment hearing where the House passed the impeachment articles and the Senate threw it out instead of hearing the evidence. They decided not to even pursue it,
Right.
or try
because
it.
That's how Democrats behave. That's how they just ignore it.
Don't you think that the director for the Homeland Security ought to be responsible for some of this?
Somebody should.
I
Somebody
mean-
should be responsible. I think he should be responsible. I also think the president of the United States should be responsible. The fake president of the United States, because he was not elected. That man was installed. And he's a
Installed, yeah.
puppet, and somebody has their hand up his butt making him talk.
Well, Hillary Clinton,
Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama are
she
still
is at the White
involved.
House supposedly on a weekly basis
They
for
are
meetings
both
with them.
still very involved, and they both have their hands up his butt making him talk.
Yeah,
And then
I believe it.
what's this? He was talking and he said, pause. Did you hear that? Did you
He's
hear
done that
one?
several times.
He
He reads the
reads
teleprompter word for
everything.
word.
Word for word, doesn't bother to look at parentheses or anything like that. Or, caps.
It's called
all
dementia.
caps. Yeah, I know.
We're lucky he can read it. You know,
How is he still president? Why have they
Because
not
he's a useful
filed
idiot.
articles of 20
do you hear me? Because
Yes.
he's a useful idiot.
Right. He'll do whatever they tell him
Yes.
to do.
He's a useful
And
idiot.
he is a downright embarrassment.
So the Gaza thing, I'm not done with that.
Okay, sorry.
We're not. Oh no, that's
I was
okay.
on a
No, it's
rant.
okay. There's more. Think about this. Let's think this through to its obvious conclusion. They relocate refugees from Gaza, rescue the people that want to be rescued instead of putting them in the concentration camp, which they do have a concentration camp established already, just southwest of their border with Israel, just outside Rafah. They're going to give the Palestinian people the choice of getting on the boat or going in the camp. The camp will be guarded and administered by the Israeli government in Egyptian territory. The Israelis will be happy because they get the Gaza Strip back. The leftist protesters will see that, oh, look, Biden's helping these people. He's bringing them to America. And what does the left get? A bunch of new voters. They're gonna let these people vote.
That's exactly the reason that they're bringing people in. That's
Uh-huh.
exactly the reason. And
They know that they have a polling problem with the American people. And so the only way they can solve it is find more voters. And that's what they're doing. They're bringing in all these people. And the people coming across the border, the southern border, it's not Latinos. There's a lot of Latinos.
there are a lot of Chinese.
There's a lot of
Asians,
Latinos, but it's people from
Chinese.
all over the world, wherever they can pull them, wherever they can find them.
And they're mostly military-aged men.
And what's going to happen when those military aged men start joining these protests at these college campuses? and then it spreads outside those campuses.
There are going to be a lot of terrorist attacks.
These college protests have been going on for over a week. They're not getting better.
No.
If anything, they're getting
growing.
worse. As we were setting up, by the way, to record today, we turned on you. We always have something playing in the background, usually like the live news coverage, or if Trump's speaking, we'll have a live coverage of Trump. So I always try to like have something in our background. And we turned the Fox News on to start our recording today. And what did we see?
We saw there was a cop that shot
a shooting at Columbia University.
Columbia University.
So this situation is escalating. It's not getting any better.
No.
The foreign affairs situation is escalating.
But they're allowing it to escalate. That's the problem.
They want it to.
They want it to escalate.
This is
so that
manufactured crisis.
So that they can call in the National Guard, invoke martial law, and have us all be prisoners in our own homes. That's exactly what they want to do.
That's part of it. I think some of it is also, this is taking attention away from what they're doing in Gaza with trying to move the refugees out.
Of course.
Because this is consuming our media cycle.
Of course. This is a distraction. Again, another distraction
it's very
from what
much
they're
that.
doing so that they can infiltrate.
But this is very much like a sociopathic tendency, and the left has a lot of
sociopathic tendencies.
Yes. And one of them is creating a crisis so that you can insert yourself as a solution.
Mm-hmm.
So they create this civil unrest and all these riots and protests, and then they go rescue refugees from Gaza, bring them here, and say, "Look what we did! Aren't you happy now?" And everybody cheers and applauds for them.
Mm-hmm. You're such great people. You should run this country.
Yeah. So, has it happened yet? Not yet. But watch the water. Watch the water
as Q said.
Right? Oh my gosh. 4 years ago when they started saying watch the water, if we had only known, right? When you look at it, it all started with the Evergreen in the Suez Canal.
I remember that.
And then next thing you know, it's like
all those ships, container ships are out there, and
with COVID, all the ports were blocked up. None of the container ships could get unloaded because of COVID. And then we had the trucker convoy.
And that created scarcity.
And it's been just a downward spiral of our economy ever since. And we've lost value of our money. Our currency is being devalued. China and Russia, apparently about 90% of banking transactions between China and Russia now are circumventing the dollar.
Aren't they going to, is it BRICS or are they going Bitcoin?
BRICS is trying to create their own currency.
Mm-hmm.
They've added about 30 countries that have joined or are in the process of joining BRICS. Most notably on the currency point is Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe has introduced a gold-backed digital currency.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah. So, and they are part of BRICS. Mexico, Brazil. There's I think Algeria, Bahrain. There's like 30 countries that have joined the BRICS coalition now. In Indonesia is a huge country. And when you look at the countries that are part of BRICS or in the process of joining in BRICS, they represent now about 2/3 of the population of the world. We're very close to it. They're getting close to it. Yeah.
Makes my brain's going.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
My brain.
I know. I hesitate to tell you these things sometimes, Anna, because I don't want to scare you.
No, but my brain's going. I'm thinking maybe I should trade my dollars in.
Trade your dollars. Trade them for pesos. Listen, I was looking up the
dollars.
I was looking up the Colombia peso because I was in Colombia last year, and the Colombian peso a year ago was trading 4,800 to the dollar. You know what it is now?
What?
It's down to 3,800 to a dollar.
Oh my gosh.
That means our dollar relative to the Colombian peso has lost 20% of its buying power in 1 year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just one example. You can compare to many other currencies across the world, and you'll see this trend. We're losing the value of our money. And that's why when people go to the grocery store, their dollars are not filling up the grocery cart. That's why when they go to the gas station, their dollars are not filling up their gas tank anymore. And that's the effect that inflation has on our economy. You might be able to buy the bag of chips, but there's going to be less chips in it.
Right.
Okay.
What was it? Slimflation?
Shrinkflation?
Or shrinkflation?
Biden, people have kind of criticized, it was a weird commercial Biden did on the shrinkflation, but that term has been around for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Is it real? I think so. I definitely see that things are getting smaller, smaller portions at restaurants,
right.
and
that's not a bad thing.
Well, it's
a bad thing when it comes to how much
I don't think it's a conspiracy.
It's not a conspiracy.
I think this is business reacting to the economic environment.
I was saying it's a good thing so people eat less.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. That's. I mean, yeah. Honey Boo Boo doesn't need another popsicle stick. Like she can fast on the popsicles this week. Like, no. It's definitely happening. I don't think it's a conspiracy, but I think businesses are reacting to the environment, and it's a choice of, do we charge you more for the pint of ice cream, or do we sell you a smaller portion
for the same amount?
It's
the same thing, honestly. It's 6 to 1, half a dozen of the other.
Yes and no, but where it's different is how it affects people's buying decision. If you have the $3 for ice cream, you might still buy ice cream. If it's only $3, you just get less ice cream.
Right.
But if ice cream is $4 because there's not a $3 portion, you don't buy it anymore, right, because you only had $3. So it's about share of wallet.
Sure. No, it's a mentality.
So the concept of share of wallet is how much disposable income does that person have for ice cream, chips, and all this other stuff.
Makes it more affordable. And just get less.
I mean, it's the environment we're in. Are some companies greedy? Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's always the consumer who's going to incur the ultimate cost.
Unfortunately, yeah.
That's how it is.
But it can only move in one direction. They can either make the portions smaller, or they can charge more for it. And at a certain point, they're going to make the portions small to where if they make them any smaller, nobody's going to buy it.
Right.
And then the price is going to have to start going up again.
Right.
So it's going to be a back and forth.
Of course.
Once the price goes up, in economics, it's the concept of like stickiness of the pricing. And I know it's kind of a weird term because it doesn't sound official, but that's what economists call it. It's the prices are sticky and they don't revert back when things change, when things improve.
Right.
So once that pint of ice cream goes to the $4, it's probably going to stay there.
Sure. I get it.
Yeah. It's not going to come back down because now they're making $4. Why would they ever sell it for $3 again?
Right. When people stop buying it, though.
That's when they might change the price or increase the portions. Yes.
Comes.
But it takes time. It takes time. The prices increase faster than they decrease.
Sure. And we're in for a massive recession here.
It's a scary thought. It's a scary thought because one of the things that's on the uptick is people are just not making their car payments.
I know.
And rent and mortgage payments.
Their mortgage payments with insurance going up and
repossessions on automobiles are up
and property taxes going up as well, being reassessed.
These are the same signs that we saw at the beginning of the 2008 recession. Mm-hmm. People started turning their car keys in, going up to the bank and saying, "I can't afford it. Here's the keys."
Their house keys.
Yeah, turning their house keys in. But I think it tends to start with like the toys and then the cars and then the homes, because people really need their home the most.
Home, yeah.
You need transportation to go to work and make a living so you can keep your home.
Can you imagine losing your house and your car and pretty much everything? Can you just imagine that? How do you survive after that?
So a year ago, I was looking at RVs. Mm-hmm. I didn't buy one, but I was interested in them. I just wanted to learn what I could, And I went to visit actually three of the different RV dealers around, but one of them, the gentleman was driving around showing me the trailers, like the pull behind trailers, and he says, yeah, we're actually still pretty busy selling these. I said, well, why is that? I thought people were going back to work.
No.
It's not people buying them to vacation.
They're buying them to live in them because that's all that they can afford. That's all.
So people are buying a $15,000, $20,000 RV,
and
sometimes less if they can find it, but people are buying a $15,000 or $20,000 RV and living in it instead of buying a home, because a home is $400,000, $500,000 in some places.
So you can imagine sometimes you can even pay it cash and just not have a payment.
I mean, if people are lucky enough to have that kind of cash, but
right. But even the mortgage, the payment on the RV would be way cheaper than a house.
Oh yeah, well, an RV, because it's a recreational vehicle, you can finance them for like 30 years, like a mortgage. So you take out $15,000 or $20,000. Interest rates are really high right now. I mean, you're paying 12, 15%.
You can always refinance when they come down.
You can, but even at high interest rates, you finance it over 30 years, your payments down.
Still way cheap.
You're paying for it forever.
Yeah.
You're going to pay for it forever. You're never going to own anything, but you have a place to stay. You have a roof over your head. Yeah, and that's what people are doing now. That's been going on since the COVID pandemic started, or the bat soup scenario.
The bat soup virus.
Yeah, the bat soup scenario. We have to be careful with the C word on this channel. I forgot for a moment. I was getting a little excited about the conversation here. Getting ahead of myself. Yeah. So that's the situation that America is in right now. So how do we get out of it?
I just say steamroll the whole thing.
We're almost there. Oh, it's terrifying.
We're in so much
They're going to steamroll it for us.
We're in so much debt. It's going to come tumbling down. There's nothing we can do to keep it from collapsing. It's too late.
Well, the money's got to be paid back. The money that the government borrows for all these programs to relocate refugees, to fight the war in Ukraine, all that money has to be paid back somehow. How does it get paid back?
Well, but here's my take on this. If it was borrowed or illegally somehow, I don't know. We're in deep crap right now.
But where does the money come from when our Congress says we're going to give $60 billion to Ukraine?
Just print more. They print more dollars is what they do, but it's basically coming from the taxpayers, obviously.
But they don't print money. They don't just print the money. It's a journal entry. They loan money that doesn't ever physically exist. There's no paper currency to back up the money that is being spent. It's loaned out by the Fed to the government.
That's what I'm saying. It's backed by nothing. It's ridiculous. It's just a monopoly.
Well, it is backed by something. It's backed by our future work. So future generations are going to have to work harder, work longer, work more than one job, which a lot of people are doing now.
Okay, so...
And where does the government get their money in that system?
I'm going to go one step further.
Hold on, let's finish.
With AI taking these jobs, how are people going to be able to support themselves?
Well, let's answer the question first. Where's the money going to come from to pay all these things?
I don't know. Good question, because with AI taking all the jobs, how are people going to generate money? How are they going
That's a different problem.
Okay.
That's a different problem.
Okay.
The money that gets borrowed gets paid back either in interest or higher taxes. And so now you have the White House and Joe Biden's administration saying they want to raise capital gains tax.
Right. We talked about this.
To 44.6%. We talked about this last week, right?
And we talked about it. And he's even talking about unrealized gains.
Yes.
How is that? How is that possible?
Yeah, they're talking about 25% on unrealized gains. So a middle-class family who's lucky enough to buy a home, and maybe they bought it before the pandemic, maybe they bought it 10 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever. But a middle class American family, which is almost extinct,
Exactly.
has a home. It's worth much more today because of the housing shortage. It's worth much more today than it was when they purchased it. On top of not being able to afford groceries, not being able to afford to get to work and
Fuel.
school,
Yeah.
they're gonna have to cough up money because their house is more valuable when they purchased it, even though they have no intent to sell it.
Right.
They're gonna have to pay tax on the value of their home that they have no intent of selling.
Right.
And in most cases they can't sell because if they sell it, they're buying into a higher market anyway.
And interest rates are higher, and you can't.
But the liberals, they've spent money that they've written checks that can't be cashed.
Right. That's what I'm saying. The mentality on the left is just, it's irrational. It makes no sense.
Well, they are
Spend,
operating
and hurry up, make more money.
Well, they are operating our government on a fiscal policy where we borrow money and then we just pay the interest, but we never actually pay down the principal.
Right. That's true. But are we even paying the principal or the,
No,
the interest now?
pay.
We can't even pay the interest now.
The federal government budgets based on the tax base being able to pay the interest on the money that has been borrowed.
And isn't it
like an interest-only loan?
Isn't it $1 trillion every 100 days that the interest?
I mean, it changes depending on how much they spend.
It's about $1 trillion every 100 days, though, and that's just the interest.
Well, it increases as they spend more money.
Of course. It
So it's not a stable number.
But I'm just saying that's just the interest.
I mean, right now the number is in excess of $30 trillion. That the federal government has borrowed and just given out to whatever cause and whatever whatever foreign government or
Gay,
special
cowboys,
interests
poetry.
they chose.
Yeah,
we will be paying this debt into perpetuity. Future generations of Americans, if there is a future America, will be paying this debt for the next 100 years and on. And well beyond that. It will never be paid down. And it ensures
our enslavement.
Well, it ensures our enslavement. It ensures that we will own nothing. They think we'll be happy about it. I think people lose their minds before it gets that far. But it ensures our future enslavement, and it ensures that inflation will always be a factor in our economy. And that the money we have today will never be worth more than it is today. The money we have today will not be able to buy.
It will continue to decline.
It will continue to lose its buying power and value.
Until what? Until it's worth absolutely
until our entire system collapses.
And it will. It's coming. It's coming very soon.
We'll leave you with one last thing today. The
happy day.
I know, one last thing. No.
So
I know this has been I hope we're not scaring everybody off, but this is important stuff. We need to be paying attention to these things, and an uneducated voter is going to do more damage than someone who is scared and worried. So I think it's important that we're all educated, but yesterday I saw a quote from the Roman Emperor Cicero, and it was something along the lines that an empire in decline, the laws and rules get crazier and crazier.
Yes, because people become more and more.
So the more society declines, the more government declines, and the more the empire of America declines, the crazier and crazier the rules and laws get. And we'll leave you with that today. Thank you for watching. This has been another episode of Freedom Hawk Live. I'm Dean. This is Anna.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.
Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like.
Yeah, please like the video, hit the thumbs up. We really appreciate it. It helps us get these videos out to more and more people. And subscribe to the channel so that you can get our future updates. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you in the next video.
All right, take care.